What's up, everybody? This is episode 20 of Life Lead
Wow.
In. And I've got the best guest with me. That's what I refer to her as. The best guest. This is my wife, Kelsey. Man, thanks for
Hi.
joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
Today, let me get this little hair off you.
Oh,
so we'll
gross.
just do that.
Okay.
But here's the thing. Today, we're going to get into the real and the raw.
Yeah.
And we're going to share some stories. We're going to get just brutally honest. Today, we're talking about really leadership credibility.
Mm-hmm.
And leadership credibility, honestly, it comes through a lot of different things.
Yeah.
But one of the things we want to focus on today is follow through.
Yeah.
And so we're going to talk about, follow through as parents, follow through as husband and wife. We're going to talk about how we follow through and the leadership credibility that we have
Right.
as leaders in the church, in our community. This is important.
Right.
Man, if you're going to be a leader, you got to have credibility.
Mm-hmm.
And too many of us, we lose our credibility because we don't do what we say we're going to do. And too often, man, that's the case.
Yeah.
So I want to share some things that I've honestly learned over the years in leading our church.
Mm-hmm.
That, man, what I say, I better do it.
Yeah.
You know, man, like,
And that's how you gain trust.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And so there's going to be a couple of things that we're going to discuss. We're going to talk about doing what you say and following through. But the other thing that I want to kind of leave with today also is, man, what happens if you get down the road and realize, man, maybe we can't do
What we said we
were going to do. And maybe how do you graciously back out of maybe a commitment that you made, whether it was to your kids or to our
Right.
church. Man, how do you graciously say, man, we missed
We
it.
can't do it. Yeah.
Like, we just missed it. And so hopefully we have less of those, things that happen. But, man, I think this is going to be a great episode, man. If you want to grow as a leader, as a parent, have credibility with your kids, credibility with
follow
your
through.
spouse, credibility with the people you leave, this episode is crucial.
Yeah.
So let's just get real and raw. What does this look like for us?
So I should first of all tell you the reason why I believe Dan asked me to be a part of this episode. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Is because I believe in you.
That's kind. But is because this is something I really struggle with, especially as a parent. And so we even actually just yesterday had the conversation of, I think I had said something to Maymay about, Maymay, mommy needs her phone. She's going to work out. And Maymay said, no. And I said, well, I guess I don't really need my phone that bad. And then Dan pointed out, if you're going to tell her that you need it, then you need to follow through with that.
You actually need to take the phone.
Yeah, you have to actually follow through with what you say, because then Maymay learns, well, I can just say no. And then when it gets to bigger things, Maymay, your curfew's at 10:30. No. All right, well, come home whenever.
Which our kids' curfew is not at 10:30.
I'm saying when she's
right now.
when she's older.
Okay, gotcha.
Yes, yeah, I said further down the road.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so following through with that, my sister once said that kids push on their boundaries and they want to know that wall is not going to collapse, because
Right.
that's how they feel safe and secure. So even though I may think, oh, it's not a big deal, I'm just going to let them get away with it because I don't want to deal with the fuss or with the hassle of them being upset, that's actually showing them you can't trust my word.
Right.
And I won't protect you when you need to feel protected, because they know that those walls are going to crumble if they push on it.
Right.
And so I'm doing them a disservice by not following through on my word.
Yeah. People, so let me bring in some of the spirituality of some of this, because we're spiritual leaders. We lead a church called New Life Church, which by the way, if you've never been, we'd love to have you.
Yeah.
It's a fantastic faith community, and we just love it. People often ask me, man, God in the Old Testament, it was like strict things going
Rule
on.
after
There were
rule
all
after
these
rule.
rules to follow and all of these sacrifices to make and all this kind of stuff. And people often ask, like, what was the deal with all that? God was literally teaching people discipline.
Yeah.
He was teaching people discipline. And what he did was he said, okay, you need to do this, and I expect that you do it, and if you don't, there's a consequence.
Right.
God always follows through
through.
with what he says.
It's good.
And he does it for our benefit. It's
Right.
not because he's this this like cosmic killjoy that's like trying to
Right.
ruin your life. No, he's actually trying to help you develop something in your life that will be productive and will help you throughout your entire life. And so as parents, man, when we dive into this conversation about credibility and follow through,
Yeah.
it's like I think you're not the only person that struggles with it, by the way, in our house.
Yeah.
Like, man, we always bring up May, but Harper, man, Harper's kind of the like pushover for you, and May can honestly kind of be the pushover for me.
Yep, that's
I don't know
true.
what that is, but it is. It's true. And even when and maybe this is the case. You put Harper to bed and I put May
Yeah,
to bed.
maybe.
Right? And so parents, you know that bedtime can be a struggle. But here's what I know that what I do. When I put May to bed, I often will say things like, you know, May, no more talking, no more getting out of bed. This happened, especially at nap time. This is brutal right now.
Yes, terrible.
Like, don't get out of bed. We're not playing. You gotta go to sleep.
Right.
And so if she doesn't do that, if she doesn't listen after the first time, then there's probably some sort of consequence. The second, third time. Now listen, we are a spanking family. We don't do it often, and I often tell our kids, listen, Daddy does not want to spank you. Like, I don't want it to ever get to a place where I'm going to actually spank you. But when I say, hey, next time if you don't listen,
Yep.
you're going to get spanked. And if I don't follow through, because our kids know, man, I don't want to get spanked.
Right.
They don't want to get spanked.
Yeah, they don't like that.
And mommy and daddy, we don't want to spank them. So they don't want to end up with the consequence. But the problem is if I don't actually follow through with that consequence, it won't help.
Right.
It won't help.
Well, and I know you've even said, the idea of the 10 Commandments. And it was God teaching us these rules because he wants the best for us. And so he knows that if we don't follow those commandments, then there's going to be repercussions. The same idea of, no, we don't want to spank May when she won't nap, but we know the repercussion is that she's going to be exhausted and miserable and probably get sick because she's not sleeping enough.
Right.
And so that comes out of love, those rules and those follow through on those rules, the same that God has with us. But let's talk about
same thing with sugar. Like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Our kids and your kids, I know for a fact, man, you could eat sugar for breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Oh, I could.
We're at dinner time and we know like you can't have all this sugar before bedtime or it's just not going to work. It's not going to be helpful to you. And so to be a good parent, man, you have to have follow through. You have to say, look, I literally know that this is beneficial for you and better for you. And so I'm going to help you be a healthier version of yourself.
Right.
For you. It's for you.
Yeah.
So follow through and credibility is so important. But let's talk about it from leading
Leadership.
our organization.
Yeah.
And here's what I've learned. Man, too many organizations and even families, we aren't prepared for emergencies. So let me explain that. As a church, like we have a budget, we have money, we have all these things. And from time to like we have everything budgeted. But if I don't have kind of an emergency fund over here, man, something could break, something could happen. I know that churches, we don't have our own facility, so we don't have this yet. But I know from time to time, I've heard it called like the boiler fund, which boilers aren't even a thing anymore.
Yeah. When the boiler breaks.
When the boiler breaks, what are we going to do?
Yeah.
Like, man, do we have $100,000 set aside for this boiler breaking? And so too many times, because we aren't prepared as leaders, we haven't put aside these things or paid attention to really all the things that we should. We haven't stewarded things well. Man, then we come to our people in our organization, in our church. Man, our organization is run by gifts of people.
Yeah.
Like people who are tithing and giving to our mission. They don't always want to have a capital campaign, right, for the boiler.
Fix the boiler.
Like, and I grew up in a church where they had to do literally fundraisers to fix the roof. Like if I'm a leader who's stewarding the money that God gives us well, man, we're prepared for all of those things, for all those storms to happen. We're setting aside money so that it can work. But let me tell you what we're doing right now. And honestly, this is something we're growing in. And I want to be a leader that has credibility. So we're a portable church, right? We set up and we tear down every week at Madawan High School. eventually we hope to have
A
our own
building.
facility someday. And so there's two sides to this. One, I know at some point we may have to say, hey, we need to raise some capital, we need to raise
Yeah.
some funds to be able to buy some land, build a building, or maybe renovate an existing building. However, I'm not going to wait as a leader. I'm not going to wait to just say, hey guys, the pressure's on you. You need to give us $10 million to pull this off.
Right.
No. I want to be preparing now for what God has prepared for us later. And so we made a shift. And hopefully this adds to our leadership credibility. And it's something that we're learning about. We shifted our budget this year so that 30%, literally 30% of what is being given right now is being put aside to prepare for that future that we
building.
know is coming and that we know we want to go towards.
And so that playing into the credibility and the follow through is when we tell people, yes, our end goal is to be in a building, because we have a lot of people ask that, are we doing the due diligence right now to make sure we can follow through? Or when we announce, hey, we're going to 2 services, can they trust our word that we are going to put everything we have into making that happen and doing it well, without just, oh, we tried, now we're going to bail, because then there's no credibility in there, And so I was sharing with Dan, even for me, I think the follow through on my end more comes in tough conversations. That's where I really struggle with following through on that. Is I'll say I need to have that conversation with that person, and then I'll get to it, and it's like, oh, but they're so sweet and I don't want to have it. And what if I'm going to hurt their feelings? But ultimately,
bless their heart. They're a good person.
But ultimately, loving someone means being willing to have those tough conversations. And so I remember a member of our worship team saying to me one day, will you actually tell me when what I'm playing doesn't sound good? He said, because I leave many times on a Wednesday night thinking, oh, Kelsey's just so nice that she'll never tell me if there's an area I need to grow. Because
things that they can get better
things
at.
I can get better at. And he said, because I hear you'll like someone else will play a wrong note and you'll kind of make a face, and I can tell that that it's not great, but you don't have that conversation. And so then when I go home, I wonder, did I do something that now someone doesn't care enough about me to have that conversation with me? And that stuck really hard of, if he's seeing that in me and then he's worrying, does she even care enough to have that conversation? Sometimes the follow through shows how much you care.
Right.
And that follow up of, hey, this wasn't the best, and I'm willing to have that conversation with you and follow through on that so that you can grow too.
For sure. So, and being specific
on
ways that you can grow and get better.
Yep.
It's so crucial. Man, it develops credibility when you realize, man, I'm not just telling you this because I don't like you.
Right.
I'm actually telling you because I love you.
Right.
And I know that you can be a very valuable part of what we do together. And here's some ways that you can get better so that we all get better.
And just something we've learned as leaders is trust and respect are earned.
Yeah.
Definitely earned.
Yep.
And you can't just come into a role and say, here's what my title is. So
titles mean nothing.
Right. And so that stuff is earned, and it's earned through follow through of your word and knowing that you're good for your word and you can be trusted in what you say you're going to do.
Yeah. And so to give you another example, one of the things that we learned is every year as an organization, we cast vision for the next year. Like, we're setting aside funds for our future building or our future facility needs as a church.
Right.
But we're ministering right now.
And we have goals for that year.
We're not always focused on, hey, here's the 5-year plan on getting a building, or 3 years, whatever that is. Man, we want to do great things right now and right this second.
Right.
And so every year we cast vision as an organization that's going to help us be better, that's going to help us grow, that's going to help us reach our community and help people in great ways. And so every year we cast vision, one that we know is actually attainable. Like every year we want to say, okay, we cast this vision and it might cost this much, and here's the result that we're looking for.
Right.
And at the end of that year, our people who have invested time and energy
they better
and
see
work
it happen
into that vision,
Yep.
they see, man, we did it.
Right.
And we did that. We accomplished that together.
Yep.
And that's in a segment. So every year we have that goal setting of here's the vision of what what we want to accomplish. Here's what it costs. Here's what it's going to take.
Right.
And then together we get to see we did it.
Right. We did it. So off of what you said earlier, what happens when, say something like last year when we had vision to go and start a prison ministry.
Right.
And then COVID happened,
Yeah.
and that wasn't an option. What do you do then to maintain your follow through and your credibility when one of those options is taken off the table?
Honesty.
Yes, 100%.
100% honesty, transparency. Man, if you try to just sideswipe it and forget that it, like maybe hope nobody thought twice about it. Hey, they remember the fact that you cast vision for that.
Yeah.
And so, man, as a leader in our organization, I want to maintain our credibility. And I think that happens by just being honest. Like just saying like openly and honestly, last year during COVID, we had some big things that we were chasing after. We accomplished the vision of building and getting a new sound system for Mattawan High School.
Yeah.
Man, we installed and paid for and put together that sound system. We are giving our sound system to our old sound system that's a great sound system to the Kalamazoo Gospel Mission so they can preach the word of God and share in music together for years and years and years to come. Check.
Right. The roof in Honduras.
We accomplished those things. We supplied a roof for Honduras. We support a church that is a care point for so many kids and families that we sponsor as a church, and we help them to build a roof on the church to make sure that they continue to do church and to feed the kids and have education opportunities for the kids. Boom, nailed it. Like we raised the money, we accomplished that vision. That roof was built for those people. But man, one of the things that we literally couldn't do is we had planned for and kind of counted the cost for and cast vision for opening, basically going into a prison and broadcasting our services into a Michigan prison week in and week out. And we were partnered with an organization to help us do that.
Right.
But because of COVID-19, that vision got put on hold.
Yeah.
Like there was literally zero, we didn't have an option. Like we just couldn't do it. And so I frequently during last year said over and over again, look, it doesn't mean that vision is gone. Right. But it's shelved for now.
That's not this year. Yeah.
Like we just can't do it this year. It's literally not possible.
Right.
It doesn't mean that we don't have a heart for it. It doesn't mean that we won't go back to it and try to do it again in the future. But for this year, we literally have to check that off the list and say, like, we wanted to do this and we have a heart for it. We just can't do it. So being honest.
But I think what you said about honesty, Dan and I see a counselor regularly, and I remember he said, don't leave blanks that the devil can fill in.
So good.
So if there's a blank in someone's mind of, he said he was going to do this and now it's not happening, and if we as leaders haven't filled in that blank for them as to why with honesty, then that opens a crack for the devil to get into those minds and say, can you trust that person?
Right.
Are they being diligent with your money? It was their vision actually from God. And if you're not filling in those blanks, then you're setting those people up to hear different things, even from the devil or just from their own mind, wondering what it is. So we have to fill in those blanks for them. And the only way to do that is with complete transparency and honesty.
Yeah. So here's some practical tips that we can leave you with today. Man, you got to follow through.
Yep.
Man, when you say you're going to do something, do it. And this is even like when you schedule a meeting with someone, man, keep it.
Yeah.
I mean, when you schedule a date with your wife, keep it.
Yeah.
Man, when you say to your kids, man, we're going to do this, do it. like I don't even know how many times.
Because they don't forget. I'll tell you that.
I mean, I know for our kids, man, I'll say that we're going to have a daddy-daughter date night, and they want to make sure that happens.
Yeah.
Or, hey, we're going to have a movie night. Make sure it happens.
Yeah.
We know, hey, things can get in the way. Things can go awry.
And that's when you are honest.
So be honest about it, even with your kids, with your spouse, and say, look, this came up, but we're rescheduling for this time. And the second time,
better happen.
You don't cancel it. Like the other thing that popped up, nope.
Yep.
That's not happening. You're going to stick to your word and you're going to make it happen. So follow through is crucial for your leadership credibility, for you as a husband, for you as a wife, for you as a worker, for you as a parent.
Yep.
And man, if you lead anybody in any organization, man, follow through and leadership credibility, man, do what you say you're going to do.
Do what you say you're going to do. Have those honest conversations. Have those tough conversations. And then when things don't go as planned, give yourself grace the same way that God gives you grace, but be honest with those people so that they can continue trusting you.
Absolutely.
Yep.
So what is it for you? What area do you need to work on follow through in? Is it parenting?
Yeah.
Is it your workplace? Man, we'd love to hear from you.
Yeah.
We'd love to hear your stories of lack of follow through, or maybe something that you just, man, you cast that vision for your family or your business. You knocked it out of the park. Man, we'd love to hear from you.
Yeah.
Comment, ask questions, share this with a friend if it's helpful. Man, your leadership credibility is so important. So, but here's the thing. Nobody's perfect.
Right.
All right. So we're all in process. Never stop learning. Never stop growing, and keep leaning in.
Yep.
Crash!